Welcome to Command Phase, where Star Wars gaming takes center stage. I'm your host, Austin. With me this week is Colin. Colin comes from uh, the Legion side of the Star Wars gaming for us this week. Um, Colin, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, give yourself a little background in your gaming.
Yeah, how's it going? Glad to be here today. My name is Colin. I'm part of the Inferno Squad group out here in Arizona. I'm one of the more competitive individuals in the group, but we have a ton of people that are part of casual and competitive. But in terms of a little bit about me, my gaming actually originated with Warhammer 40K back in 7th edition, so like 10 years ago at this point, and was very headstrong into that for a long time. Tried to dabble in Age of Sigmar, couldn't really get into it at first back in like 2nd edition, so just focused mainly on 40K. And then I learned about this tabletop game called Star Wars Legion. And at first, when I learned about it, the Clone Wars era hadn't existed yet. So I, coming from someone who grew up on the prequels, wanted specifically to only start playing Legion once the Clone Wars came into play. And then, I still played like X-Wing and stuff here and there and competed with X-Wing back in the 1.0 days, and then stopped when it transferred over to 2.0. But about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, I ended up seeing some people playing Legion at a store again. And I was like, oh, hey, have like, what's all come out since the last time I kind of like was originally introduced to it. And at that point, the Clone Wars era had come out and was still kind of like fresh a little bit. It hadn't had a whole lot of releases by then. So I started jumping into Legion. I played CIS and pretty much was hooked from there immediately right when I started. I played CIS for the whole entire time that I started, so about 4.5 years now. But I've been dabbling with Republic and now the new Mandalorians that we're going to be talking about today.
All right. Yeah, and looking at the Longshanks, you got a pretty good ranking with the CIS. Um,
Yes, yeah, for sure. I did get second at LVO in 2025, beating both Austin Miller and Isaiah Wallace, who was the world champion at that time. Barely lost to Michael Stubbs in round 5, and then ended up losing to him based off strength of schedule for first. So there was a 5-1 winner at the LVOIS in October 2025, and it just barely, by some like less than one strength of schedule, squeak. Like if
yeah,
I had one more opponent win one more game, I would
dang.
have squeaked out first.
Yeah,
And I was
strength of
playing,
schedule's
yeah,
awkward.
yeah, it's weird. I was playing Geonosian spam at the time, Aquadroids when Aquadroids were in their prime, and had Asajj in there as well as kind of like a missile. So not a lot of people were prepared for Geonosians. I practiced them for like 8 straight months, and I'm not normally someone who likes to just be on a list
Hmm.
for more than a couple events. But because I knew I wanted to try and podium at LVO, I stuck with this Geonosian list for like 8 straight months, and the local scene was getting very tired of it. And so after I performed at LVO, pretty much beginning of 2026, that's when I swapped over to starting to try and play more Republic.
Okay.
And, I still kind of played like a game here and there with CIS, like Wheelbite Grievous came out. So I was like, oh, going to play Wheelbite Grievous for a while, and then played him at Scorched Earth Open that happened earlier this year and won Scorched Earth
Yeah.
with Wheelbite Grievous, and then I played a couple of games with like the new update just to see how it felt. But for the most part, I've been trying to prioritize not playing CIS this year since I've just been playing it for so long.
Yeah. Well, and I know you and I have had one game together, and you did play CIS there, and it was just, I guess that list was just battle droid spam.
It was. I mean, it was a learn. It was more like a learning game. So I just played like
Yeah.
a B2 spam with like Poggle and Grievous on foot with like Droidicas and the Asajj BX unit. So it wasn't like completely over the top, but it also wasn't just like a pushover list either.
Oh yeah, and I mean those B2s. I think it was in that one moment where you're like, oh, a bunch of them come back to life, and I was like, why? Why are you doing this?
Oh yeah, the
Like,
Poggle 4-pip that you only
Yeah,
take if you're playing B2 spam. Poggle's
Yeah,
weird,
'cause
man.
I'm like, man, I just killed so many of them, and you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
there's like 10 back, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's just
Yeah, it's like, oh, all four of these squads have a model back, just
Yeah.
because.
Yeah, it was
Um,
great.
But yeah, no,
But nice.
I've been having a lot of fun with Republic. It's been a very interesting army to crack since I know
Yeah,
it's been notorious ever since originally it got 501st nerfed in the beginning of the 2.6 when it was at its peak. It's kind of been on it'll be everyone thinks it's bad and then it'll randomly win like worlds or a major event or something like that and everyone's like, oh, what's this list for Gar that just won? And it's just like out of the blue, so random.
yeah,
So you have to kind of find those like little micro synergies in Gar now to like make it work, unlike most of the other factions where you just put all the good units in and your army is just good.
yeah. That's one thing I've noticed because I play with Empire. Is yeah, I mean, I could just put the good Empire units in, and it's just good. It just
Yeah.
you know it just works well, and I've been trying to craft some more fun lists. Uh, putting in more ATSTs because I know they used to dominate, but I don't think they really do anymore, right? Like,
Uh, Tempest Force is still a viable list.
okay,
I don't know how it is right now with the current meta because pirates are very strong and ATSTs can't really kill all the tanks fast enough. And then you got these super squad pirates with fragmentation grenades was relentless and surge to crit running at you. So,
yeah,
um, but I think like Tempest is one of those ones where if you're not ready for it, it's gonna suck. But if you are ready for it, it's not really that hard to deal with.
yeah. That's kind of like I'm like, yo, I feel like Tempest would be fun. Because especially if you're just playing a casual game, you're just like, I got ATSTs and speeder bikes. Let's play a game.
Yeah, right. Hey, I mean, you weren't around when Blizzard Force was the monster that it was for like 8 straight months
Oh, really?
before AMG finally decided to nerf it. Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much right when Battle Forces were first introduced, like Blizzard Force was literally just like one of those lists that if you couldn't beat Blizzard Force, you might as well just not go to the
Oh,
event.
wow.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, that's
constantly winning GTs.
yeah, and that's always such a bad position for a game to be in when something just dominates that strong because one, if you play that faction, it kind of almost forces your hand to have to play that because it's like, well, why are you playing Empire if you're not playing Blizzard Force?
Exactly.
Like, you're
Yeah.
handicapping yourself. But then if you're not playing those factions, it's like, well, now I have to build my list specifically for fighting that. But then if I'm not fighting that, my list is just eh.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah,
But luckily, like I don't think Legion in its current form really has anything like that. There's obviously strong lists, like the
yeah,
pirates and pretty much any rebel list that exists currently in the game. But for the most part, I don't think that there's any like if you don't prep for this list, you don't win type
yeah.
of scenario. So at
That's
least we're
good.
going in
That's
the
a
right direction
very
there.
yeah, that's a very healthy state of the game to be in, where it allows you to kind of play what you want to play and what you feel is good, and you don't have to tailor it specifically certain ways. Which
Yeah.
just it also makes casual tournaments more fun because then you don't see that Blizzard Force on the other side of the table and you go, oh, why would you bring that to a casual tournament?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. So speaking of new things, you got the Mandalorians that came out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when I was at Adepticon and I saw the announcement, I was like, oh man, because I actually wasn't into Legion yet when I was at Adepticon. I had the starter box for Empire. I hadn't played a game yet.
Mhm.
I saw that and I was like, man, God, I want to do it. I haven't jumped into it yet because I've been building my Empire stuff. So it's like I can't purchase two armies at the same time. Divorce papers might start happening at that point. So, but I did jump into the Empire. But man, the Mandalorian stuff looks so awesome, and now being able to actually see it be released, it looks super cool.
Oh yeah, it's been a blast.
Yeah, you've been getting in some games with it. So how are the Mandalorians looking in a fun aspect and in a competitive aspect?
So I think they're equally good for both. I think as an army, they have very good potential to be pretty good. It's obviously not been fully solved yet, especially since we don't have, at the time of recording, we don't have the customizables out yet.
Yeah.
But once those come into effect and a lot more big events are going to start seeing them, I think that's when we're really going to know how competitive Mandalorians are going to be. But for casual, oh god, they have so much flavor to them. It's amazing.
Well, they because you have different clans,
Mm-hmm.
and you can build the clans together, though, right? You can have two
Yes.
clans and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a downside to multiple clans?
So the way that it works is every clan has their clan keyword. So Mandalorians are stronger together is Clan Kreese, and then you have like We Fight for Our Family for Clan Red, and so on and so on. So
Okay.
all of the specific units have a clan keyword when they're part of a specific clan. But the way that the battle force works is you have two ways to run the battle force. Essentially, you have mono clan, or you have what I like to call as Mando soup. If you are mono clan, you get an additional rule strictly from the battle force for being mono clan.
Okay.
But if you can play a soup Mandalorian soup army with different clans. The only restriction that you have is that all of your non-commander and operatives must share at least one clan with one of your commanders or operatives. So, if I'm taking Children of the Watch units, then I need to have at least one commander or operative that is Children of the Watch. I can't just have like a random.
Sense.
Yeah, I can't just have like a random Paz Vizsla in a warrior unit that's Children of the Watch, but not have any children commanders or operatives.
Okay, that makes sense, especially when you think of like how the Mandalorians are, because it's like the Clan Ren Mandos aren't just going to randomly start following, some other clan's leader. Like they need their leader with them. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. But I like that you can mix and match them a little bit because like I love Clan Ren, like I love the Rebels show and everything, but also Clan Kreese, and I feel like I like Clan Kreese a lot because I'm a Shatterpoint player, and that's really all we have is Clan Kreese. And, we don't get as much diversity as Legion,
Well, especially
but
now.
yes. So. But yeah, I think it'd be a fun way to play it, having multiple. But I do see, the strategic purpose and the theme to just have one giant Clan Ren army. I think would still be pretty cool too.
Yeah, I think if I were to kind of put either one of them into a category, I actually think that the mono clan is more casual and fun.
Okay.
than souping. I think souping is so much better than going mono clan because of a single model, and that is Bo-Katan with the Darksaber. If you add her into your army and she has the Darksaber, your whole army gets the Clan Kreese keyword in terms of like they get the Mandos are stronger together keyword. So not only do they have their clan based keyword, they also have the Mandos are stronger together keyword.
Oh wow! So like the Clan Ren will gain that Clan Kreese.
Exactly. So they'll have both
That's
like we
cool.
fight for our family and Mandos are stronger together. Now that's as long as you can keep Bo-Katan alive. The moment she dies, you lose that whole entire thing because the ability is attached to the Darksaber upgrade.
Oh, okay.
So once Bo-Katan dies, you lose that whole buff. So you have to play her a lot more passive than you probably would normally in like a mono Clan Kreese army.
Gotcha.
And just like being able to like mix and match different units also with like different clans can help plug in different strengths and weaknesses that you're like covering for each other, right? So in terms of mono clan, I mean some of the mono clan abilities are good. Like the Clan Saxon mono ability is strong. You either get a recover or a free I can't remember if it's a speed 1 move. I think it's a speed 1 move after you kill a unit.
Okay.
I think that one's like good, but some of them are real bad. Like the Children of the Watch mono clan trait is awful. Like there's no reason to ever play mono Children of the Watch unless you're just trying to be super flavorful.
Yeah, unless you're just straight up playing casually and
yeah. So that's why I say like mono clan is a lot more casual, and then you also have the customizable clan, which, in my opinion, I don't really think is going to be competitive at all because you can't take any named characters or any of the special veterans.
Oh,
you're pretty much only locked to the base units and the customizables.
Okay, that's a little But I mean, I guess then it would be a little bit more like flavor because it's like you're just making your own Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's like a build. Like you get to pick like 2 of like 5 or 6 different abilities, and it's more for like a casual create your own type of thing.
Yeah. Well, and we know that the casual scene in a game is just as important as the competitive scene. Mm-hmm. Because if a game builds too much towards one or the other, the community itself struggles. Because I've played some games that are completely catered towards competitive, and as a ex-competitive player, because I'm not competitive anymore, but I enjoyed the game. But then when I would play with friends that weren't competitive, it's like the game just sucked for them, and then it turns into like, well, now I can only play this game against competitive people and competitive things, and you're like, eh. Mm-hmm. So it's nice when they release things that you're like, yeah, this kind of sucks, but it's cool. Like,
yeah,
not every unit they release into the game has to be good.
No, I don't think so. Now, I do think, in my opinion, every unit in the game should be viable in some form.
For sure,
I'm not saying it has to be good solely on its own, but if paired with something, it might, see results.
Yeah. I mean, so that's it. My knowledge between Legion and Shatterpoint, I have a lot more in Shatterpoint. And like there is one unit, it's Jedi Padawans. They're generally looked at as not good models. They're only melee. They don't do a lot. But if you pair them with Darth Vader, all of a sudden they're good. And it's because Darth Vader's ability is, when they make an attack, they can take damage to get extra dice. Mm-hmm. Well, on their combat tree, they have heals.
Okay, so they essentially just get free dice.
Yeah, it's basically free dice, and the problem with them without Vader is that they they just roll a little bit too little amount of dice for
Mm-hmm.
their tree, so they don't get the full damage out of them. But the moment they get that Vader dice, now their attacks actually do something. So it's one of those things where it's like they're viable if you pair them with certain things, but by themselves they're more of a flavor, fun, Jedi only army kind of thing. So yeah, that you definitely want viability in a unit, because then they'll just never get played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You
and that
know.
was there was a few units in Legion for a long time where that was the case, like riot troopers for Empire. Pretty much like right when the game came out, or right when they came out, was early 2.6,
Mm.
and they just were not it at all. I can't remember. It might have been, was it early 2.6 or was it late 1. It was like in that time period where it was like late 1.0, early 2.6.
Gotcha.
And they were bad because they didn't really have a ranged attack, and they had to get into melee, but they were too slow. And then the introduction of Imperial March came in, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden now riot troopers are like semi-viable because they can actually make it into melee on turn 2 where they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I've played against the Riot Troopers once, and it was a 600 point game, so
Mm-hmm.
very tiny map. And they were great because, yeah, on turn 2, I was playing against Tristan. Um, and yeah, the Riot Troopers were just like boom, boom, and they were engaged and meleeing, and I was like, oh crap, they move fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that Imperial March. But yeah, I feel like if you take Imperial March away, they're slow. And it's kind of even with when I'm building my army with the snow troopers, I feel like I kind of have to put Imperial March there
Right. Yeah.
because you're like, yeah, they're so slow, but because they have steady, Imperial March is amazing. Just like with the riots, because they have the melee version,
They have charge, yeah.
charge, yeah. So then it's like, yeah, Imperial March is amazing for them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but it's nice when they can, one small update, right, can completely turn around a unit and make them viable or make them competitive. It also can sometimes kill a unit with a small update because, now that unit can get countered so easily that it's dead.
Yeah. But like Legion is like such an expansive game that they're sure everyone is like running a unit in a specific way, and then you're only prepared for it for that specific way. But then like another game, your opponent shows up and they have a completely different build for that unit, and then now you're like, oh, I didn't expect this unit to be capable of doing this because of the way that it's built.
Yeah.
So it's unlike 40k and like Age of Sigmar, where you pretty much take units at their fate at like literally their front face value in terms of how good they are. Legion, with the fact that we have so much customizability on units, makes it so that their one build might be super strong, and then there might be other builds that are kind of unexplored, and then eventually someone figures it out and is like, oh wow, this is a new way to run this unit.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting when you look at the list too, because um, there's so many different ways to build it. When you look at a list that won, a big tournament,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll usually look at like the Empire one, so I can kind of see like what people are doing. And sometimes I see a list and I'm like, what is this list doing? Like, why? Like, I look at the build, and without actually seeing how they played it or knowing enough to like look at the units and be like, oh, they did this so they could do this with their units. I'm like, where's the strategy here?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you look at them and you're like, that's a weird list. I've never seen anything like it, but you won, so
Mm-hmm.
it must be good. And that's kind of the cool thing is you're not just seeing the same exact list winning, the best Empire list isn't exactly the same every tournament,
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
which is
there's
great
been
to see.
Empire lists recently that have been performing very well without Thrawn.
Yeah.
And right when Thrawn came out, everyone was like, "This guy is going to be the thing that is in every single Empire list going forward until he gets some sort of change." But people are finding ways to make the faction perfectly viable without Thrawn being in there.
Yeah. I mean, I will say Thrawn is fantastic. He's so good.
Just turn my camera off for now. It's spazzing
So,
out.
but yeah, so there is the army box for the Mandalorians, the what do they call it, the exclusive or whatever. So
The special edition box.
special edition. So what exactly are you getting if you start with the special edition? Like, what clans are you getting with that?
It's specifically designed to be a clan or a Children of the Watch box.
Okay, so that
Yeah.
one is just Children of the Watch.
Pretty much. It only comes with character wise. It only comes with Din in the armorer, and so, but
Well,
and it doesn't come with any. Like, you can build the Clan Kreese veterans out of it, but it doesn't come with the Clan Kreese veterans unit card. So,
interesting.
well, I mean, it's that. Well, that's the thing, right? It was meant to be a Children of the Watch box.
Oh, but like technically you can
yeah,
build
but because
them.
the Clan Kreese veterans are made out of the same sprue as the initiates and the warriors, out of the box you
Gotcha.
can technically build those, but
Yeah. So, but you do have the Mandalorian Warriors box, which gives you initiates, Clan Kreese veterans, and some Mandalorian warriors. So the Mandalorian warriors and the initiates. So what clan are they part of?
they can be anything.
Okay, so they're ones that you just put into
Yeah.
whatever
So
clan you want them to be a part of.
the initiates and the warriors are your core and your
Okay.
and your support. So they technically have an upgrade slot. I don't know if it's actually printed on the cards, but it's supposed to be. That it's like a little like Mandalorian helmet. So you choose what clan they're going to be a part of.
Okay, that makes sense. So basically, you get that you're going to be purchasing that box just to add Mandalorians to your army.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So, well, it seems like they have started the release pretty good. I mean, I know they're missing, still some Mandalorian releases to come out that are going to help out the Mandalorians a bit, but the one nice thing is it doesn't seem like they release things too early to where, like, right now you can build almost anything you want in a way to be able to play.
Yes.
They didn't make it so it's like, well, you can only play Clan Kreese right now, and you got to wait a couple months to play Clan Ren. Like, all the clans
Exactly.
are released; they're just not fully released with their leaders and stuff.
Yeah. So as of right now, the only things that aren't released are the individual box for the initiates and warriors, and then the customizables.
Okay.
Everything else should be available. I know there was some shortages on allocations and stuff, so typical company stuff. But as of right now, but pretty much by mid August, we should have everything available for Mandalorians.
Okay. Nice. So, with these Mandalorians coming in, and we have LVO coming around the corner in October, do you feel like Mandalorians are going to make a difference in how LVO goes on, what we see being brought with other factions, or just like seeing maybe Mandalorians kind of competing at the top, you know?
I think so. Mandalorians, from my experience so far, they've been strong, and you definitely have to build them very synergistically, almost like how you would build in. I don't want to compare them to Republic, but they're almost kind of like Republic in a way, where they are all about synergy. You're going to be on a lower act, like average like 10, and you are just out of the gate with your army just hammering in on your opponent. And with the impervious change that came out with Mandalorians, I think you're going to start seeing certain other units that haven't been seeing a lot of play come back because of the fact that impervious reduces pierce value by 1 now. So you might even start seeing like those Anakins and those Vaders seeing a lot more play, because in the Mandalorians you're guaranteeing 2 dead models every time you swing now, instead of old impervious where your opponent rolled equal to your pierce value and they could potentially make it so you do 0 damage with your Vader, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so do you feel like that impervious change is a good change for the game?
Oh, 100%. I think old impervious was so feels bad for both parties involved, because if you rolled up with your Vader and you're like, here, roll 6 pierce 3, and I'm like, cool, I have impervious, so I'm rolling 9. Oh, blocked everything. Your Vader did 0 damage to my unit that should not be tanking a Vader hit. But then
Yeah.
on the opposite side, though, as the person with impervious, sometimes you'd roll and the impervious would do nothing, and you're like, why is this even like this keyword is supposed to do something for me and it's not doing anything? So I think now it's with the change, it's best of both worlds. It makes it so those higher pierce value models are actually putting through damage, but at the
Yeah.
same time, though, against Pierce 1, you're like, okay, this is a meaningful keyword because now I'm immune to Pierce 1.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so Pierce 3 with like Vader and stuff is still going to do something, but I mean, you're still mitigating a little bit from Vader. But then yeah, against Pierce 1, you're basically like, "Oh, now I can actually maybe get out of this unscathed."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I know, so I don't think I've actually played up against Impervious before with my Vader. I just Pierce Immune was all I would play up. I played up against, so I never had to deal with the feels bad of it. But reading the keyword and seeing what it could do, I was like, oh yeah, no, that would kind of suck. Like Vader goes up to these no name, units that have Impervious, and he just does nothing. And you're like, no, this is Vader. Like Vader should be just slaughtering.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I've seen impervious units like tank 2 hits from implacable. And it's like,
Oh
well,
jeez.
it's like you just wasted your 1 pip on your 200 plus point model against this less than 100 point unit because it had a keyword that just feels bad. So
Yeah.
I think the change was very needed, because a whole like everything in Mandalorians has impervious except for the initiates. And so
Oh yeah. So no, that would be really
yeah,
bad.
a whole entire army with impervious would have just been like feels bad to the max.
Well, and you'd basically have no Jedi's. Like they would just be so bad in the game.
Well, they'd either do nothing, or the person with impervious would just get frustrated that they actually don't roll anything extra off their impervious.
Yeah. Yeah. So all right. Well, and so you have, when it comes to army building with the Mandalorians, so you were saying that you feel the Mandalorians are probably going to be a little bit lower act, kind of like Republic. So is that because there's a lot more like upgrade focus going on within the Mandalorians?
Yeah, so far from my experience with Mandalorians is you're going to be at lower act count for two different reasons. You're either going to be playing veterans, so you're going to be playing either the Clan Kreese, Clan Ren, or the Super Commandos for their special forces, and those get pretty expensive. Like they're all hovering between the 120 to 150 range if you
Yeah.
build them properly. And then the characters themselves, a lot of them are pretty much baseline already almost at that like 100 to 110 area. So just off of that alone, you could reach low act or lower act counts because of that. And then if you don't take veterans, you're more focused on beefing up your squads with like heavy weapons and flamers and whipcord launchers and all that kind of stuff, or like personnel upgrades like the name personnel. And so
Okay.
I've played games where I had like 10 activations, but like 5 of them were just naked core units. And it's like my army didn't feel like it didn't do enough because the naked core themselves, like they're only range 2 and it's only
Oh,
5 health. And so it's it almost just feels like you're playing naked clones that don't have tokens.
yeah.
So you really got to beef up those squads with like heavy weapons or character personnel upgrades in order to make them really shine.
Gotcha. And yeah, then you're looking at, beefier units, but you're gonna have less activations because you have to beef them up.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Like my lists have been hovering around 10, but I also haven't been taking any of the special forces units.
oh, okay. Yeah.
So I'll get like 10 solid activations. Like maybe like one or two of them is like a naked initiate because it's just points efficient to fill
Hmm.
out activations and just have some stuff that sits on back points. But for the most part, like 8 or 9 of my activations in my lists are all doing something relevant. And that's how I feel like personally, that's how I feel like Mandalorians need to be building their lists is you need to make sure most of your list is doing relevant things because like defensively they feel like Gar, where if you just don't roll well on your saves, you're gonna have a real bad time. And they don't have
Yeah.
the defensive tech like Republic does with all the token sharing. So they're more, in my
Yeah.
opinion, they're more offense than defense.
So then you got to make sure you're building them and playing them a lot more
Mm-hmm.
offensively and aggressively, or else,
Yeah,
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 you're
and
just gonna get
this is
wiped.
where the Mandalorian suit comes in too, because of the fact that you get Mandalorians are stronger together on your whole army. Which, for those of you that don't know what it does, it's every time you spend a dodge or one or more dodges from an attack. If you're within range 2 of another unit that has the keyword, you get an aim. And then the vice versa is true for when you spend one or more aims on an attack, you get a dodge. So
Oh, yeah.
so it helps you with that token efficiency, which then starts feeling more like Gar in terms of its tokens, but it has, in my opinion, more offensive output that Gar doesn't at the moment because everything in the army surges to hit or crit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. Gar kind of lacks a little bit of that. I mean, their tokens are fantastic though. So, but I mean, it seems like at least the Mandalorians, their play style might be a little bit more straightforward for newer players or less experienced players, where you just you can just say, hey, take this army and you send them forward, be a Mandalorian, go and kill stuff.
Mm-hmm. I would, yeah. For that, it really depends what clan you're playing. In my opinion,
Okay.
there's like one or two clans that if you build them a certain way, they're a lot more. Um, focused in terms of like you need to make sure you know what you're doing with this. But I think for the most part, anyone can pick up Mandalorians and build a fun list that can also do something.
Okay. So, well, and so what would you say from your, competitive experience when it comes to activation count versus a number of upgrades or expense of the units themselves? Like, what's obviously, it's probably faction based, right? Certain
Mm-hmm.
factions prioritize others, but when you play competitively, do you try to favor more towards the amount of activations, or do you like beefing up your units a lot more?
It depends on the army, like you said. So when I was playing a lot of separatists, I was focusing more on high activations with efficient synergies and just having like units that can just be sticky and be problems. Like they may not be the most efficient in terms of their output, but they're good at attrition.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then since I've started playing Republic and Mandalorians, I've cared a lot less about trying to like out activate my opponent and more focused on trying to have my units do something meaningful where even if it's like just like a naked core infantry that's handing out tokens, it's doing something rather than if I take this unit and I don't give it upgrades, what is it actually doing in my list except for just existing?
Yeah.
Um, because like sure, even with like rebels, you're seeing a lot of high activation counts in rebels and sometimes Empire and CIS. But at the end of the day, if my activation can completely kill one of your activations in one go, then that activation disparity very quickly becomes equal after the first
Yeah.
turn or two. So it really just depends how you want to build your list because I've seen lists that are like crazy low activations, like 7, 8, but every single unit like can just look at something and remove it from the table.
Yeah. Well, and I've had that. You know what? It might have even been in our game, where I had these like smaller units like naked scout troopers, the probe droids. I think basically naked death troopers because they have that one weapon, but it's a zero cost. But um, where yeah, like those units were giving me activation counts, but they kind of just got obliterated pretty quick. The last person in that unit survived pretty well, but one model in a naked scout trooper isn't really doing anything on their activation. So then it's like, yeah, I still have more activations, but those I have three activations that are basically dead activations.
Yeah, I think it also
Um,
just depends. Like at the current state of the in a game, if you even have like a single model left in a unit, that unit can do something. Whether or not it can do
yeah,
something right then, right when it activates is just based off of what's going on in the game currently. But I've had
yeah,
plenty of like one model B1 squads like survive, and I'm like, okay, this single B1 leader is going to go double move into your force user that doesn't have force push. He can kill a single B1. There you go. That's your force user's activation for the round.
yeah. Well, that is kind of the nice thing too, right? Because it's like because the single guy can still contest POIs, it can still engage people and force their hand. And in order for your opponent to deal with that single guy, they have to spend an entire attacked. Whoever they're attacking with, they have to spend that attack to kill one person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it does still affect it. It's just, sometimes you kind of feel where you're like, well, like this guy's not doing anything but I would say they're not doing anything offensively because they're rolling one dice or whatever, but they can be a nuisance for sure.
Hmm.
So yeah, because I know, I've been messing around with some list building with the Empire, and a lot of times I see myself wanting to add, two Scout Trooper units and two probe droids, because they increase the activation count. They're cheap, but the probe droids themselves, yeah, they're those units where you're like, these guys are just going to hang in the back on my back POIs, and they're just going to do their turn and hang out. So they're still doing something pretty good on their turn with those observation tokens. But it also just allows your other guys to go forward and not have to hang back if they want to move forward. So there's some units that are pretty good, cheap, almost just cheap filler units that still do something during your game. Um, it just seems like with the Mandalorians, they're still too new to have enough diversity in units to just have stuff like that. I'm sure eventually they'll get things that are similar to like probe droids and stuff like that, where they're just kind of filler
Yeah.
things.
I mean, maybe they will, maybe they won't.
Yeah,
I mean, currently their only real filler unit is initiates. For 56 points, you get 5 red save models that just shoot at range 2 and have 0 keywords. So they have a
yeah,
filler unit, but it's whether or not, like, is it efficient right now in Mandalorians to actually take any filler, or if it's better
yeah,
for you to just go in on all the upgrades on your other units to make them efficient.
yeah. So going into this competitive season with LVO coming out, do you feel like a lot of people are going to switch to Mandalorians? Like, are you going to be sticking with your competitive CIS, or are you still in that testing phase where you don't quite know where you're at yet?
Um, well, I'm not doing LVO this year for Legion, but if I was, I would kind of be in that testing stage right now. Like, I'm not sure if I would want to switch to Mandalorians or do Republic or go back to CIS. But I think Mandalorians, you're going to see a good amount of Mandalorians at LVO, but I don't think it's going to be the majority. I think
Okay.
it's going to be kind of on the level of popularity as uh, kind of like a Republic or Empire at the moment, because I know CIS and Rebels are still kind of like the top two in terms of popularity.
Mhm.
But I still think they're going to be popular enough where you're not going to just be able to completely write them off like most people do with like Shadow Collective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still pretty new to Legion, and I don't even like I forget that Shadow Collective is in the game because I never see it. No one really talks about it. Um, well, the true Mandalorian fans did, but now they don't need to because they have actual, Mandalorians to play.
Yeah, and their super commandos are better in Mandalorians than they are in Shadow Collective.
Yeah, and I do think that's kind of cool that you can bring the super commandos that you already had and play them with the new stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, I enjoy the models too. Just they look really good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Legion models have always kind of been a little off just because of their size. They get a little squished, but I feel like they've been doing a really good job with kind of keeping them decently proportionate. I mean, helmets are all still just a little too big for their bodies, but um, I feel like it just kind of I like the good detail that the Mandalorians have in their helmets, where if you do a good job painting, like you can tell exactly who this is supposed to be when it's like a key character, like what's her face that's in charge of Clan Ren.
Oh,
Um,
Ursa.
Ursa, yeah. Like if you paint Ursa well, like you look and you're like, that is Ursa. Like
Yeah,
even
yeah.
though
No,
there's a
the
helmet.
I built right when Mandalorians came out. I built so many of them, an ungodly amount, and the models were all like the models themselves are really really awesome. I would
Mhm.
say my only my only gripe with the Mandalorian models in terms of the initiate warriors clan Kreese stuff is I kind of wish that the clan Kreese veterans had their own separate sculpts, because the clan Kreese veterans are the same exact sculpts as all the other ones, except it's just a different helmet,
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
and that's it in terms of detail. So I kind of wish that they were their own separate release, like with Clan Ren and the Super Commandos.
Yeah.
But in terms of the other stuff, I also wish AMG did a better job on their instructions in terms of telling you like how to properly denote an initiate versus a warrior versus a fire support warrior, and then which heavies were what.
Oh, so they give you like directions on how to build it, but they don't tell you like if you use this, it's for this thing.
Yeah, so the heavies specifically, if you build it properly, you can only build two of the three heavies out of the box. Unlike with AMG, as we know, where they give you a box and you can build every option.
Mm-hmm.
With the Mandalorians, you can only build two out of the three heavies. It gives you two.
That's
It gives you two snipers. It gives you one repeater, and it gives you one grenade launcher. But it also doesn't tell you which one is the repeater and which one is the grenade launcher. So you kind of just have to know or look it up or have someone tell you. So like when I first initially started building them, I thought that the grenade launcher was just some random gun for like a
oh.
guy. So like I ended up missing out on building like 5 or 6 grenade launchers because I just didn't know that that specific model was the grenade launcher. So I
Yeah.
would give him like the sniper rifle. And I'm like, well, gosh dang it. But after building like my first like box and a half, it finally like clicked like, oh, this is how these are supposed to be built.
Yeah. Yeah, their build instructions aren't the best because I built the LAAT um and some ATSTs, and it is interesting because the pictures don't always match the physical piece of plastic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for this piece, and then I'm looking at this this piece, and I'm like, well, that's the closest looking thing, but like it doesn't have the holes that this instruction is saying that it should have. And yeah, their build instructions are not the best. It's I've noticed because I built everything for Shatterpoint except for the Balin box. That's the only one I don't have. But I've learned from building that and then building all this Empire stuff with Legion is that once you've built a few of the things, it becomes a lot easier because you just know how to build it. And the instructions is more of just like a visual, like a background guide instead of the guide you're using. Because like the first ATST I built, it was pretty rough. It took me a while. I built my second ATST and it was a lot faster. Just because I was like, I know how this is supposed to look when it's done. That's also the important thing is like, as you're building it, you're like, well, I know this is turning into the lake. I feel like the vehicles are a little bit rougher with their build instructions than the miniatures themselves, but I've had a couple models where I've had to take them apart because they didn't turn out right because I followed the instructions.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the one thing, with units like that where you have multiple options that, yeah, I think they need to take note that they need to be a little bit better on saying, this is that. Because one thing I noticed with the stormtroopers when I first started playing, you just have a bunch of stormtroopers, and I have no idea which stormtrooper is supposed to be to what upgrade card. You get
Oh
the
yeah.
something 19, and you're like, okay, but like which model am I supposed to use to signify that? Or especially like the leader of that unit, it needs to be distinguished between the rest. And like, I'm sure there's a guy in there that's supposed to be the leader, but I don't I don't know which one he is. I just choose the cool looking one.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had plenty of people that are newer from like coming from like Age of Sigmar that have like literally asked me, so which one of these is supposed to be this heavy weapon? Because it just doesn't tell you in the instructions, and some of them they do, and it's weird. It's like
Yeah,
can we just be consistent here? And it's probably not very hard to just put text on a document that you're uploading on the internet, since
no.
instructions are no longer physically printed ever since AMG took over.
Well, and also because they're just posted on the website, you can update them without any effect on the world.
Right.
When you're like, oh, we forgot this, like you could just replace that document with the fixed one, and no one will notice.
Right.
Yeah, it's been interesting, and even now I because I haven't played everything with all my units, so even now I have a couple like units where I'm like, I don't know what you are. But as I play, I start to figure things out, like the sonic charge with the scout troopers. I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, like, he's holding a mine. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Right.
That's him. Now I know.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, no, I'm definitely very interested in playing with the Mandalorians, and I do want to play against them just because I want to see them on the table. Really, I mean, I want to see what they do and play against them and see them in action. But I also just want to see them, out on the table, built and painted and looking cool. So I'm very excited to be able to see them, because I'll be at LVO doing the live stream for Shatterpoint and the TOing for it. So I'll definitely be, sneaking over to the Legion tables to check out all the cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. The models are awesome. I'm excited to get mine painted up, but I told myself I have to at least get most of my Republic painted up first, because I technically started that army before Mandalorians were announced, and then they announced Mandalorians, and I was like, oh no, a third army. And so,
Yeah,
I'll be like, I'll probably get like a unit or two done for Republic, and then I'll do like a character for Mandos just to kind of switch it up and keep it fresh. But I told myself before I am able to fully start painting my Mandos, I need to do most of my Republic first, so it's out of the way.
yeah, that's good. And I mean, the one nice thing about Republic, is that the armor's not too, like, it doesn't take too much unless you go really into detail. But like, you can get a good amount done.
I'm starting to hate painting white. I'll tell you that.
Well, do you use like white for your clone army, or do you use the off whites?
So I prime them. I prime them white, and then I contrast the whole thing with apothecary white, and then I dry brush them white. So that way the apothecary white. Well, because then it makes them look more like they're not like pure white; they're more of like a dirty white, but they're not so dirty where it's like blotchy and it looks bad.
Yep.
So, I mean, that part doesn't take very long. It's the fact that I'm also doing proper Legion markings on my
Oh,
clones.
okay.
So
Yeah.
that's the part that's taking the longest, is actually like doing all of the detailing on the armor to make sure that I have the patterns correct.
Yeah, that's the because that's one thing I still need to do with my shore troopers because they have their special markings and stuff. Is doing that because that takes a good amount of time because I just primed them black and then took my khaki color and painted the armor and did slight detail and I'm like, all right, they're playable now.
Right.
But yeah, they don't have any of their special colors and stuff that they're supposed to have dictating leaders and stuff. So that's definitely what adds a lot more time. But at least getting them like table ready, it's not too bad, unless you want them to actually look really good. But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm very picky about my stuff, and that's why it takes forever because I don't want to just have a stormtrooper looking basic. Like I want them to look good.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I could have definitely just went super easy with this army and only did white, and then just have like a shoulder pad a different color to distinguish
Yeah,
squads. But I'm like, that's so lame. Like, just I'm like, I have to do the markings for my squads. It's like I have to have like a 212th and a 501st and a Coruscant guard and a all like those different types of legions. And I've even been
yep,
buying like 3D prints. Like I have like 212th airborne that I use as like core infantry, and then I saw that there's like STLs for like galactic marines from the Nova, the 21st Nova Corps on on like eBay and Etsy. And I'm
yeah,
like, oh, I want to pick up some of those to like distinguish, like for like clone marksmen, if cause since Kiadi Mundi's coming out, right? It's like if Kiadi
yep.
Mundi is on the table, he's got to have his 21st Nova Corps with him.
Yeah. I mean that's the one cool thing with Legion is that it is a lot more about those different subgroups that you can get your theme really cool. So I like that. But yeah, well, I mean, hopefully you can get to the Mandos soon. Yeah, painting just takes so much time. It's hard to get through it all, especially because you can buy stuff at a faster pace than you can paint stuff.
Oh, I feel that for sure. And
Yeah,
I love building and playing far more than I like painting.
yeah,
Like, I don't even paint my own 40k and Age of Sigmar stuff. I have a buddy that I pay to do that for me because I'm like, I can't be bothered with this much detail.
well, and
My
40K is a lot more strict on their painting.
eh, yes and
Like
no.
like you can't play gray.
No, like depending on the event you go to, no, you can't.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, like my Legion stuff, I've been painting though because it's been fairly easy, especially since I started on droids and pretty much that whole army was nothing but contrast paints. And so I was like, all right, this is
yeah,
fine. And I painted my own custodies for 40k, and those were fairly easy. It's just gold.
yeah.
But I've been working on the clones and soon the Mandos, and I've been slowly trying to like level up my painting. But
Yeah.
I get like spurts of when I want to paint, and then I'll paint for like 3 straight weeks, and then I'll be like, I don't want to touch a brush for 2 months.
Yeah, it's well, and so yeah, I'm the same way because I get these spurts where I'm like, I want to paint. Like I just this week painted one of my ATSTs. Finally, my biggest issue right now is that my office that I'm sitting in right now, um, it is very hot in here because this whoever owned this house they built this add-on, and so the air conditioning does not really work in here. So
Oof.
my problem is that I have to have the energy to like come in here, turn my little window AC unit on. It doesn't even get it that cool. So it's not like super comfortable in here when I'm painting. So my new house that I'm getting, uh, it'll be a lot nicer and it'll be a lot easier to paint. So hopefully that gets me actually painting more because I have a lot to paint. Like I would say 90% of my empire still needs to be painted, and then probably about 90% of my shatter point still needs to be painted.
Yeah, I think I
I
have
don't.
three whole models for my Mandalorians painted, and that's it. And I have like 100 models that I need to paint.
Yeah, it's but I've been playing Legion games and stuff where I at least mark. I put like a paint mark or something on them just
Oh
to like
yeah, I do
signify
that
the
too. If I'm going to be
differences.
painting like a lot of the same, if I'm going to be playing a lot of the same unit, I try and like dot them with like a color on their base and be
Yeah,
like, all right, these are all for that color and that's all for that color, so it doesn't get confusing.
yeah, because I play gray a lot, but in Shatterpoint I try not to, but that's just because it's four models to one squad, and you have two squads, so it's like
Yeah,
I
you're painting
can
less than 10 models, but those models do have a lot of
yeah
detail on them because of their
they do.
scale.
Yeah, but I mean, I also I own all the rebels, and I don't play rebels, so it's like there's a lot of models that I own that I don't ever even play. But with Shatterpoint, it's not as bad as Legion trying to own everything. So, um, but yeah, so well, that's awesome. Thanks for coming on and talking about the Mandalorians and Legion with us. I'm excited. Do you have any like tournaments coming up for Legion soon?
Yeah, we have here in Arizona, we have the Smite Club Open
Yes.
towards, I think it's more end of August
I
is.
think yeah, I think it's towards the end of August. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have the Smite Club Open towards the end of August, and then we're gonna have LVO coming up in October, and then I think early next year, like January, February, there's supposed to be a GT for Legion at Gamers Guild North, but that's kind of
Oh,
just
okay.
that's in the works right now. Um,
Because they just had one recently,
I think
but they're
in April. I
oh,
can't
okay.
remember.
Yeah,
It was
I think it was
earlier.
April because we did one for Shatterpoint, but yeah, I think they wanted to change when it happens just because the April one made it real awkward with all the other events that happened throughout the country.
Yeah, and then on top of that, we Gamers Guild throws a monthly tournament, just a 3 round 1 day event
Okay.
every month, and it usually swaps back and forth between the Tempe and North Phoenix locations. So those are always a good time. I definitely use those personally for like stress testing at lists,
Yeah.
or just bringing something absolutely dumb that I am like, let's see if this works. I guess, and then
Yeah.
yeah, we. Other than that, I don't really know of any other big events that are coming up in our local area.
Okay. So do you have a tournament this month coming up then?
Yes, on the 25th, I believe. 25th. So
Okay. What
last weekend of
you gonna
July.
be you gonna be doing some Mandalorians on that one?
No, I'm going to be testing my Smite Club list, which I'm pretty sure is going to be
Oh,
Republic. Um, it's going to be a wacky Republic list for sure.
okay. But
Like
yeah, it would be good to test
I
Smite Club.
almost
Yeah.
went Mandalorians, but this will also help me get more of my Republic painted because I want to try and be fully painted by Smite Club. So it'll help me get motivated to at least paint the models I'm supposed to be trying to play in my potential list.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
if I was doing LVO this year for Legion, I would have done Mandalorians for sure, probably. Like
Oh,
it
okay.
just would have been, even if I didn't win or didn't perform well, it just, that army is just so fun right now, and it's just awesome. I've been loving the army, and it's very fun to play. I'm still waiting to play against them one of these days on with my own armies, but I think overall I haven't had any negative experiences really playing with them.
That's good. Yeah, I know over on the east side, over at like Black Banner Gaming, there's some people that have been, I don't know if they're fully playing the Mandos yet. I know they bought a bunch of the Mandos and are building it, but I don't know if they're ready with them yet to play. But
Yeah, so I'm actually running at Black Banner. I'm helping them run a little 8-man Mandalorian league.
Mando
So
League.
a Mando league. So it's everyone's playing Mandalorians, and it's like 8 weeks, and
That's awesome.
it's just gonna be Beskar on Beskar violence for 8 weeks.
Yeah. It's the Mandalorians, they're always fighting themselves, so it makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. So it'll be
I
it'll
like
be a
it.
fun time.
That's awesome. All right. Well, hey, thanks again for coming on. I'm sure we'll have you on again. Talking about more Legion stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So yeah, well, you have a wonderful time. Thanks again, and for everyone out there, have a good one.
Peace.